There we go. Hello everyone and welcome to Saturday. So yesterday I said that there was some pretty big news coming to the vlog that would affect the continuation, the future of Stephen Vlog, and that news is we have a new vlog camera. And getting a new vlog camera is difficult because the vlog camera has its own identity. It has its own feel, and whenever you change to a new camera, you are changing some aspects of the video, some aspects of the show. And the flip side of that for a creator is that, you know, there's always going to be new features, new upgrades, etc. And you have to decide if there's been enough features, enough upgrades to warrant jumping up to, you know, the next camera. In this particular situation, I think there is. We have decided to move on from the Panasonic Lumix LX10, which we've been using for quite some time, to the Sony A6400. The Sony A series or Alpha series has been very popular for the YouTube creator for many years now. It's going to sound a little weird. The 6500, which came before the 6400, has been very popular. And then this camera, the 6400, just came out probably about, I don't know, a week, 2 weeks ago. I started following it whenever they announced it in January, and I was like, that could be a pretty good replacement for the LX10. There's a few features that made this very desirable for me in terms of wanting to upgrade. For one, we've been vlogging every day for nearly 10 years. We're in our 10th year, and throughout all that time, we've never had a camera that had a mic jack. It's just never been something we've had. We always use the built-in mic, and this will be the first vlog camera that has a mic jack, which is one of the reasons we got a mic. This is the Rode Video Micro. We'll be opening that up in a bit. Other cool features of the A6400 include the fact that it's an interchangeable lens camera, and that's also a pretty big deal because one of the big things that happened to the LX10 is that over time, having it in my pocket, dust and debris got into the lens mechanism because it was, you know, not sealed off as well as an interchangeable lens system would be, and there's no way to clean it, which means I had to send it into Panasonic, and they were like, you abused this camera. So you guys already know all that big long spiel. Eventually I did get the LX10 fixed, but it wasn't through Panasonic, and it also soured me on their warranty and their policies. So I've chosen a company that's not Panasonic for my next camera, and probably the biggest feature that I'm most excited for is that Panasonic, you know, for as much as I have disliked some of their policies, their cameras are good. The LX10 has been a great vlog camera. That being said, it has atrocious autofocus. And you guys know this. If you've watched the videos in the past few years, there's been many times where the camera just really struggles to try and figure out what on earth is supposed to be in focus. Sony has a much, much better autofocusing system, and in particular the A6400, Sony was very excited to announce that this is the best autofocus in any camera. And I was like, really? That seems like quite a claim. And they're like, no, it is. It's the best autofocus in any camera. And I was like, okay, well, if you're going to be doing vlogging and you want to be able to film yourself and be able to move the camera around and have the camera magically know what it needs to focus, having something that does that well seems like a plus. Now, there's a bunch of other cameras on the market that I also considered. The problem is I have gotten really used to the flip-up screen on the LX10. This is the first vlog camera I ever used that had one, and it's really fantastic, and I don't want to abandon it. So the A6400 is actually the first Alpha Sony camera to have that, and I was like, okay, this is basically set up just for me. We're going to get some huge quality of life, you know, upgrades, and this is going to be a great camera for the future. So the first thing we need to do is actually unbox this thing. So let's unbox it, shall we? So the Sony A6400 comes in 3 different flavors. You can get it body only or with one of 2 kit lenses, a 18-135 or 16-50, which is what I opted for. And I gotta admit, I'm pretty excited about that because one of the problems with the Lumix is that the widest it'll go is, well, in 35mm equivalent, 36 millimeters, which is not wide at all. In fact, it's a good vlogging camera, but if you're not tall and have like super long arms like I do, it'd be very hard to get yourself in frame. So going all the way back down to a 16 millimeter means that we're gonna have a wider shot for the first time in years, and I'm really excited about it. So that's one of the reasons I went for the 1650. And also, I don't want a huge form factor. The 18-135 seems like a great lens, but it's also really big. So as we open this up, we got some papers telling us about our limited warranty and to register our stuff. Okay, lenses and accessories, manuals in various languages. And we pull this up, and inside, and because we got the one that comes with the lens is actually already on it. And this camera is considerably larger than some of the past vlog cameras that I've used. It's not terribly larger than the LX10, but it is larger. And if I said it wasn't larger, that would be definitely be a lie. It's a little heavier, but not too much heavier. And honestly, it feels like a better quality product. It feels nice in the hand. It has a really good grip. I'm pretty excited. I hate these. These are gonna have to go. I'm not exactly sure how to get these off. If I have to cut them off, they'll be cut off, because if you're filming something, that's gonna make some noise. But yeah, so this is 1650. Again, you know, it's interchangeable lens, so you can change the lens if you want, which is a first for the vlog also. One thing of note is that the camera, and whenever the camera came out, there was a lot of people bashing it because of two main things. One is that it doesn't have IBIS, or in-body stabilization. That's not a big deal. None of the vlog cameras we have ever used have had IBIS. The LX10 included. The LX10 actually does have IBIS, but only if you're shooting in 1080, and we've only ever shot 4K with it, so it doesn't matter. It uses lens stabilization, which is what this uses. So as long as you buy a lens that has stabilization, you'll be fine, which is why I got, you know, a 1650, which has stabilization. There's plenty of primes and things that you could get that don't have stabilization. That might be fine if you're shooting photos, but if you're doing video, you're probably going to want stabilization. The other reason that people didn't like this camera is that whenever you flip out the screen to look at yourself, so the screen flips out, it's actually, the hot shoe is in the way. And I get it. That is a problem. So if you put a mic on, which is what we're going to be putting on, it obscures the screen. That's not the end of the world, though. There's some solutions for this, one of which is just putting it in a cage, which would move the hot shoe over to here. And I might do that if I find it's a problem. But generally, I'm not watching the screen. I just need that to make sure that my framing is right, or that my focus is okay. And honestly, I should be able to just trust this camera a lot more with focus, because that's literally what it does. It focuses, and it focuses well. The back part here that holds the screen, that allows it to flip up, that's a little weird, but it's something that you know, I'll get used to. I gotta say though, the build quality of this camera, coming from something like the LX10, is pretty incredible. Dang, like it's just, I hate to say it feels like a real camera, but it does. It absolutely does. So I'm excited about that. Now, let's see, it comes with a battery and a wall charger, and the wall charger is simply just one of those like USB wall chargers. Comes with obviously the USB cable, and looks to be like a little lens, not a lens hood, a viewfinder hood. So if you want, you can put the little viewfinder hood on here. I probably won't do that because I don't use the viewfinder, because I don't really ever take photos with it. And then also, if you have the viewfinder hood on here, that is also going to get in the way of the screen when you flip it up. So probably going to avoid that. I'll just keep that in the box. But you know, we got our strap. I don't know exactly what I'm going to do. I did a lot of research on the camera, you know, before I decided on it, because this is a big jump for us, and I'm excited to make that jump. But then also, you know, you always have these fears about like what's coming. Everyone was kind of expecting a 6700 or a 7000, and honestly, I decided if those come in the future, sure, whatever. Maybe we'll get those at some point down the line. But in the meantime, this is such a huge jump up from this. I thought it was time, especially since we do have an international trip coming up in just a few weeks, and that'd be pretty nice to have a camera, a new camera for that. All right, so that's the camera. I also got I got an AC adapter. I think that's this, the AC adapter, and then some third-party batteries and a charger. I know some people swear by OEM batteries, and sure, if you can afford them, they work better, but I often find that third-party batteries work nearly as good. And even if they don't, the amount of charge that they held and they helped you with is still, you know, good compared to the fraction of a price that you paid compared to the OEM batteries. You may have to carry more batteries. I don't care. That's not a big problem for me. And then, of course, the Rode Video Mic, Video Micro. Honestly, Rode has got a lot of options for like these vlogging mics that people use for their cameras. They have this on. This is actually the low end. This is one of the cheapest ones, the Video Micro. It's like less than $60. And then you go to the Rode Video Mic Go and the Video Pro and the Video Pro Plus and all this stuff. And honestly, from my research, this is a great choice. This is a really, really great choice. And it even comes with the dead cat, which I've heard referred to in marketing materials as dead kitten. And I think it's because it's so small, but I'm going to call it a dead cat because dead kitten makes me way too sad. So obviously when it's got that on there, it's pretty big. And it comes with its own little shock mount. And there we go. And I'm really impressed with the build quality of this for the price. I mean, this is a very inexpensive microphone, and again, from some of the reviews that I had seen on YouTube, both like studio reviews where people are like testing them in a studio environment, and then also like IRL vlogging situations where they're out and about. This performed so stinking well that I'm pretty excited about it. But so we'll just pull that off and put that right here. And again, this may not be the final resting area for the mic, just for the fact that if I notice that it is kind of a problem, especially with the dead cat on it, you know, it might be in the way of the screen, then I may just get a cage. It doesn't extend the size of the camera by a whole lot, and then we can deal with that. And this can be slid in the shock mount forward or back, so it doesn't necessarily have to hit the LCD screen. So on the side here, you've got access to what I believe is USB, so you can probably charge the battery inside the camera. You've got HDMI, and then you've also got your 3.5 millimeter for your mic jack. And this doesn't have a headphone jack, which some people had complained about. But also, it's a very small body camera. That would probably be something a little more suited towards the higher line, like the A7 III or A7S2 or whatever. I'm going to go ahead and slide the battery in here. And I have a spare memory card laying around, so I'm going to throw this in here as well. And we should be off to the races. I'm not sure exactly how much juice this battery has. The answer might be 0. The third-party batteries, the newer batteries, they had some juice, so I can actually run through the menus here. All right, it looks like we're in business. So go ahead and take off that cap, and all right, so it's pretty clear that with the dead cat on, it is basically impossible to see the screen. That's never going to happen. Now, you don't need the dead cat on when you're inside, but yeah, that's a very, very quick realization that that's just, you know, not going to work. Whenever it's off, that's a little more manageable since you're really just glancing up to make sure that you're, you know, in frame. But yeah, that's probably not going to work long term. I think a cage might be the solution here, since a cage would move that hot shoe over here and probably alleviate that problem once and for all. Interestingly enough, the movie recording button is this little tiny button over here. So I'm assuming you're supposed to grip it and then you can hit this button. And there we go. Man, it feels definitely weird to have a different camera. That alone is true. It feels nice for this to be so much wider because I'm barely holding my my hand away from my face and I'm already in frame. Normally I hold like the LX10 probably about this far away. So for the first time in a long time you can see around me, which is really cool, honestly. I've got the zoom next to my thumb and it's a power zoom, so I can actually zoom in and out just with my thumb. So that's kind of neat. And then of course, currently I have the Rode Video Micro on it. Now again, for just small purposes of looking up and making sure that things are either in focus or in frame, this would work. But I would much prefer to have the mic moved. But then also, there's probably going to be a lot of times I don't use the mic. And you might be wondering, what does that sound like? Probably less good, but let's try it. There we go. I pulled the Rode Video Micro off, so this is what it sounds like without any sort of mic attached. This alone is probably an improvement over the LX10, which has tiny little pinhole mics. Although these are also going to be tiny little pinhole mics. The difference is that these are actually in the front of the camera rather than on top of the camera. So it's probably slightly more directional. The hope is that I would use this for as much as possible, but this is something else that has to come with me. So I'm sure there's going to be plenty of times where we don't do that. But if I'm around the house, which a lot of vlogs are, and I have this available to me, I'm probably going to throw this on the camera so things sound better. That's the idea. One thing I'll have to ask you guys not to do is judge anything too harshly right this second, because I haven't had any time to actually fiddle with the settings on the new camera. There's certainly a lot of potential here. I was looking through the menu very quickly, and there's a lot of cool settings to play with. It's going to take me a while to get everything exactly how I want it. But as of right now, to have an interchangeable lens system, to have a better autofocus system, which I might have to click some buttons to get it just how I want it. But to have access to those, to have access to a mic jack, it's nice. And also, to move away from Panasonic because I felt wronged by them. So it's nice to move to Sony, who honestly is doing some pretty cool stuff when it comes to cameras. Anyway, that is it for today. Thank you so much for watching. Tomorrow's vlog will be shot on the A6400 for better or for worse. And I'm just going to warn you now, it's going to take me some time to adjust everything to get it just how I want it and just how I feel like it needs to be. So if things are rough for the next week and a half, just kind of be willing to work with me as I get everything up and running, so it's as the vlog should look and as the vlog should sound. But I'm excited for this new chapter. It is the year of production, and it's also year 10 of Steven Vlog, and I think that's a pretty fitting time to move over to our first big boy camera, even if the form factor is still pretty small. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, let's meet back tomorrow, shall we?